name, which are to be avoided while chanting, and they are written by Srila Vyasadeva in Padma Purana, and they are as follows. Number one, to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord. Two, to consider the names of demigod like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu. Three, to disobey the orders of the spiritual master. Four, to blaspheme the Vedic scriptures or scriptures in pursuance to the Vedic version. Five, to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be an imagination. Six, to give some interpretations to the holy name of the Lord. Seven, to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name. Eight, to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities, karma kanda. 9, to instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. 10, to not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy name and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to achieve the desired success. Krishna Prema. Once again, I thank you all. I welcome you all on the Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. And before we proceed to the Srimad Bhagavatam study, devotees, if you could kindly unmute yourself, announce your name, I would like to go ahead and welcome you all into this platform. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Nina Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Aditi Devi Dasi in Canada.
Hare Krishna, Aditi Devi Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances, Mata. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for your consistent services, Mataji. Thank you for joining Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. Please keep joining. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Nina Mataji. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. My humble obeisances to you and all. This is Krishna Kumari Devi from Ghana.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Kumari Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances, Mata. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for your beautiful japa, Mataji. Welcome to the Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Nina Mataji, Danvat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Vinita Gandharvika Devidasi from College Station, Texas. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol, Mata. Please accept my humble obeisances at your lotus feet. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. All glories to your wonderful chanting and all your services, Mataji. Thank you for your association on Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call, Mata.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga and all the assembled devotees. This is Yashamati Priya Devidasi from Chicago.
Hare Krishna, Yashomati Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances, Mata. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you for never missing Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. Every day you chant and you join. Welcome, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Danvat Pranam, all glories to Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj, all glories to Assembled devotee. This is Mohini Lakshmi from Detroit.
Hare Krishna, Mohini Lakshmi Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances, Mata. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you for joining Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call, Mataji. Please keep joining. Hare Krishna. So if there's nobody currently announcing their name, we can go ahead and proceed to introducing our keynote speaker, His Grace Jayananda Gauranga Prabhuji. And I will go ahead and read a brief introduction about him. His Grace Jayananda Gauranga Das, disciple of His Holiness Jai Pataka Swami Guru Maharaj, Prabhuji took to Krishna consciousness while at college in 1998. He did his undergrad at BITS Pilani doctoral degrees at Texas A&M and postdoctoral work at University of Wisconsin-Madison. He is a professor of obstetrics and gynecology in the United States. He has been chanting 16 rounds for over 24 years. Prabhuji is very well versed in Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita and has read Chaitanya Charitamrita over 50 times. He has been doing edifications of Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam for the Bhakti Vriksha. Wonderful, wonderful. Let us get inspired by Prabhuji's bio and let's try to follow his footsteps. We still have some time. I don't see Prabhuji has joined. So devotees, feel free to unmute yourself and announce your name, and I'll welcome you all on this platform. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Nilama Prabhu Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to all the assembled devotees. This is Sushmita from Canada.
Hare Krishna, Shushmita Mataji. Please accept my Dandavat Pranam Mata. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Guru Maharaj ki jai. Welcome to Bhakti Sangha platform, Mataji. Please keep joining. Hare Krishna. I noticed that His Grace Jayanand Gauranga Prabhuji, you have already joined. Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances at your lotus feet. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to all our Guru Maharajas. Prabhuji, if you be so kind to to talk about canto number 7, chapter 6, verse number 3. Whenever you're ready, Prabhu, you can take the call over. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Just give me a second, it's loading. You're able to see the screen?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you. So, Canto 7, Chapter 6, Verse 3. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayet nashtaprayeshva bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhagati naishmiki Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I thank Vinita Gandharva Mataji for asking me to come and speak this morning. I hope you're able to hear me. Just let me know if you want me to be a little louder than this. The topic, the verse today is Canto 7, Chapter 6, Verse 3. Sukamaindriyakam daitya deha yogena dehinam sarvatra labhyate devad yata dukkham ayatnataram. Sukam aindriyakam daitya deha yogena dehinam sarvatra labhyate devad yata dukkham ayatnataha. So this is a verse spoken by Prahlad Maharaj to his classmates, the friends born in the demoniac family, and he says, Sukham. Sukham means happiness. Indriya, Aindriyakam. So this is the material senses, Daitya. He's talking to his friends born in the Daitya families. So he's just addressing them as Daitya. Deha Yogena. So because everyone possesses a certain material body, Dehinam is someone who's embodied in the Deha of all the embodied living entities. Sarvatra, which means in any form of life. Labhyate, obtainable. Daivad, by a superior arrangement. Yata, just as. Dukham, which means unhappiness. Ayatnataha, without endeavor. So just as he is addressing his demoniac friends and saying that just as how one can get happiness by virtue of them being in an embodied soul, in any form of life. It doesn't need to be a human life, in any form of life. And this is just divinely ordained. They just automatically get your share of happiness and distress. In the same way, just as how your happiness is arranged, your sadness is also arranged, and you don't have to endeavor both. Just stay as it is and you'll get both. So, translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Prahlad Maharaj continued, my dear friends, born of the demoniac families, the happiness perceived with reference to the sense objects by contact with the body can be obtained in any form of life according to one's past fruitive activities. Such happiness is automatically obtained without endeavor, just as we obtain distress. The translation is so beautiful here. You can just so nicely see here the key words here. So he's talking to his demoniac friends born in the demoniac family. So the happiness perceived. So this is not the true happiness. So this is the perceived happiness. It's in the material platform. So what we perceive as happiness, and what is the happiness we are perceiving with reference to the sense objects that we come in contact. And why are we getting this? Because we are embodied in a particular case according to one's past fruitive activities. So what is that? What is that? It is being ordained by the material nature, is based on one's past fruitive activities. Such happiness is automatically obtained. So we don't have to go and endeavor for all these things. It comes automatically, just as we obtain distress. So it's a very nice verse. We'll read the purport now. In the material world, in any form of life, there is some so-called happiness. So look at the word here. It's called so-called happiness because it's perceived. So what is happiness for someone? For us, we might think that we are very distressed, but for someone else, it might look like, oh wow, that person has an amazing life, and it just looks like that person is very happy. So it's a so-called happiness. It is under the illusory platform, and it is a so-called happiness and the so-called distress. In essence, it's neither happiness nor distress. So the purport itself, the words are all so carefully written here. They're not some random words. So-called happiness, so-called distress. No one invites distress in order to suffer. It's not like we're just going and wantonly saying, oh, I want to suffer. But still, it's not like we are asking in the platform of Srimati Kunti Devi that we are asking for distress, but still it comes. Similarly, even if we do not endeavor to obtain the advantages of material happiness, so no matter how hard we work, we shall obtain them automatically. Whether it's happiness or distress, we obtain them automatically. This happiness and distress are obtainable in any form of life without endeavor. It doesn't have to be a human form of life, even based on the past life activities. Even if one is in the animal form of life, they are going to get that happiness or distress according to what has been already ordained by their past life activities. Thus, there is no need to waste time and energy fighting against distress or working very hard for happiness, trying to solve various material problems. You try to solve various material problems in order to get this so-called happiness, which is going to come anyway. Our only business in the human form of life should be to revive our relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So if all this is there, then how is the free will used? Is to revive our relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead and thus become qualified to return home. So every second we have that free will to utilize it to go back to Godhead. And because material happiness and distress come as soon as we accept a material body. So as soon as dehinam, so that's why it says that thing here, deha yogena dehinam. So that means that as soon as we obtain the material body, we get it regardless of what form. So we cannot avoid such happiness and distress under any circumstances. The purport says, we by any action in the material platform, we cannot avoid such happiness and distress under any circumstances. No matter what we do, it cannot be changed. The best use of human life, therefore, lies in reviving our relationship with the Supreme Lord Vishnu. And therefore, what we can actually do is to revive our relationship with the Supreme Lord. As long as we are under the purview of the internal energy, then proportion to that, our free will is being exhibited. So the best use of human life, therefore, lies in reviving our relationship with the Supreme Lord Vishnu. So without interpreting or adding any of our own meaning, if we carefully read this purport, it is so beautifully written. So many words which are carefully, it's a short purport, but it contains so much substance. And we can see today that how this purport in turn will relate to several verses in the Bhagavatam and other scriptures. And then we will end this discussion by also sharing 2 verses from the Bhagavad Gita, which will directly tell us, and all these Bhagavatam verses are like application of those 2 verses in the Bhagavad Gita, with which we will end today's discussion. So when we read this purport, it's so enlightening because Prabhupada's purports here are every word is heavy. It means so much. And if we take it without adding our own thoughts and interpretation to it, we can understand the scriptures as it is and appreciate the glories of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is a conversation. Srila Prabhupada's, it's a Srila Prabhupada's lecture on Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, chapter 20, verse 107. It was given in New York City, July 13th, 1976. So this is the first validation for this purport and this translation and this verse here, which we have taken as, and this is about our distant happiness and suffering. This is a very important thing because everybody, we really want to know whether can we do something to prevent a certain bad thing from happening to us? Can we do something to increase our happiness from having to do so? So what is it that we can do? Can we adjust it a little bit so that what we get, could we have mitigated some bad thing that could have come? So Prabhupada says, so therefore, sometimes the Indians are accused that they believe in destiny, because I've been seeing throughout the internet that it's very hard to even tell people of these days that there is even something called destiny, because then that means that things are out of our control, and therefore it's even if I look at when I look for an internet search and kind of some tags and all these kind of things, then I just see like, oh, you can always take control of your destiny. Okay, so but then Prabhupada, and I'm talking here about just not to get confused, I'm talking here only about the material realm. Prabhupada says believe in Indians are accused that they believe in destiny, but that is actual fact. I've taken this verbatim from that lecture. You cannot improve a single inch that you're distant. Nothing can be done. That is not possible. That is not possible. If you want to increase your so-called happiness, then you simply waste your time. That is Prahlad Maharaj's instruction. In fact, in this lecture of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Prabhupada is quoting from Prahlad Maharaj. So we can see the relationship between this lecture of Chaitanya Charitamrita and Prahlad Maharaj. So Prabhupada is immediately able to cite from what Prahlad Maharaj has stated, right? And then that is Prahlad Maharaj's instruction. Natat prayasam kartavyam. I am not in a good position economically. Let me try to improve it. That you cannot. Prayasam means like we are trying to put an effort to improve our material condition, material enjoyment or distress. That you cannot. Otherwise, in New York City, so opulent, so materially advanced, why you see so many men in the Central Park lying on the bench? Why? They do not belong to the poor nation or poor city still, because he is destined. He must lie down here. Maybe he's rich man's son or born in rich nation, but because he's destined to suffer, he must lie down there. Therefore, no matter what it is, if the person has to suffer, they have to suffer. Because he's destined to suffer, he must become a hippie. So you cannot stop it. You cannot stop it. That is not possible. Therefore, those who are advanced in knowledge, they do not try for all these nonsense improving material condition. It's a very, very nice lecture here, because every time, many people whom I have at least spoken with, and even personally, I have always thought, like, is there something that I could have done to make something go different? But here Prabhupada says that actually you cannot. What is going to come is going to come. So you cannot try to change this. So that means that you don't have to attribute all that to yourself either, to your present. It has been. The past life activities have already determined these things. It's not like you're going to be able to change change these things. Not a bit you're able to change from a material platform. Okay. So validation number 2. This is another conversation. I've taken this from the transcript, Feb 6, 1974 in Vrindavan. Prabhupada says, double quotes, destiny is very strong. Everyone is bound up by the resultant action of his karma. It cannot be changed. So Shastra says, don't try to change your karma phal. That means like whatever is your fruit of your karma, do not try to change it. Better utilize that energy for becoming advanced in Krishna consciousness. That is not possible. Then, because you cannot change destiny, that is not possible. Then shall I not endeavor for improvement of my economic position? So can't I work hard to get a better living situation, to get a better economic position? Prabhupada says here, no. Why? I am, because destiny, whatever you've got, your destiny, you will get it. Not a bit you would be able to adjust by your material actions. What you're bound to get, you're going to get. So Prabhupada says, don't try to work hard to get to change the situation. Oh, if I had done this, then maybe it's an endless loop. Like if I had done one thing different, could I have got something different? Could I have done? It's a very important question. I see a lot of people when I talk these days, they get so confused about these things. But when we carefully read through what Prabhupada has said, I'm not going to just cite one or two validations for this purpose, but I'm going to give so many validations today that at the end, one would be convinced about the translation purport, what Prabhupada exactly has said here about what we are going to get as far as destined happiness and suffering. Validation number 3. This I took from Bhakti Sandarbha translation of Sri Jiva Goswami, 6.2 or 4.7. The Bhagavatam gives the fact that the living entities are placed by destiny in a variety of situations in this world as the evidence of the Supreme Lord's existence. The way this itself is a proof that the Lord exists, because we are placed in a certain way, and all these different things that we get, the allotment of happiness and distress and things that happen to us, we get, are all ordained by the various devas who are the controlling gods of the material nature, under the supreme, who themselves are the control of the Supreme Lord Keshava. Give us these variety of situations under which we are placed, and that itself is a proof of the existence of the personality of Godhead. So nothing happens without, there is this saying that Prabhupada cites from Bengali all the time, that like, if Krishna wants to destroy somebody, nobody can save them. If Krishna wants to protect somebody, nobody can do any harm to the person. There's that famous thing, he cites it every time. So in the same way, everything, even though all these things are under the control of the various planetary devas, or the different devas of controlling various aspects of material nature, but they themselves are under the final control of the Supreme Krishna. And Jiva Goswami takes this as an evidence of the existence of the personality of the absolute truth. So this is taken from Hari Shauri Prabhu's diary, Morning Walk Conversation with Srila Prabhupada on September 4th, 1976, based on Srimad Bhagavatam 1.7.5, specifically to his reply to the second question, which asks if a man can change his destiny by progress. He emphasized that destiny cannot be changed, giving the example that a pig must eat stew, and the scientist cannot change this by so-called progress. So this is fourth validation from Prabhupada in a different setting based on his conversation on Srimad Bhagavatam 1.7.5, that no matter what we do, even from a material platform, we cannot change what is bound to come. This is the famous verse in the Bhagavatam, in Canto 6, Chapter 1, verse 9. Prayaschittam. This is about atonement. Prayaschitta. So many people, they go to astrologers trying to see what exactly is going to happen and what kind of atonement they can do. And so this kind of atonement, if they are invoking the various devas, then or through the devas they're invoking the Supreme Lord, they are trying to interfere with what is supposed to come under the material things. Prayaschittam ato katham. So that means that so here, Maharaj Parikshit says, one may know that sinful activity is injurious for him because he actually sees that a criminal is punished by the government and rebuked by people in general, and because he hears from scriptures and learned scholars that one is thrown into the hellish conditions in the next life for committing sinful acts. Nevertheless, in spite of such knowledge, one is forced to commit sins again and again, even after performing such acts of atonement. Therefore, what is the value of such atonement? So, moving away from the material realm alone, trying to control, if we now start doing atonement and try to, through the divine intervention, we try to atone for this, but still, even in such circumstances, Parikshit Maharaj saying is like an elephant. The example is of an elephant. It takes bath, and then when it comes out, then it takes some mud from the banks, and then it puts it on itself, and it again goes back to its original situation. And therefore, in spite of it, one commits sins again and again. So one is bound to act in a certain way, and based on the material conditioning, so based on the modes of material nature, the way by which it influences, one is bound. So that is the sum and substance of the third chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. So the modes of material nature dictate how one is going to behave. And as long as one is under the purview of the modes of material nature, then one is bound to act in a certain way. So there is no, in that sense, one cannot adjust it here and there, right? So, and therefore it says, read this thing here, the purport, it says, nevertheless, in spite of such knowledge, one is forced to commit sins again and again. So that means like, it is not like they are able to change it, but because of the material conditioning, the modes of material nature makes them act in a certain way, because they are the doer. The doer here is the modes of material nature, right? That is third chapter of Bhagavad Gita. We can see that, we can understand that. So this one is, I've taken it from the same purport of this particular verse that we are doing today, because it's a classic verse which Prahlad Maharaj talks about, Sukha Mahendrikam Daitya Deha Yogena Dehanam Sarvatra Labhyate Deva Yata Dukham Ayatmat. So in the material world, I'm reading the purport once more here quickly so that we get a glimpse of the purport that we are discussing today. In the material world, in any form of life, there is some so-called happiness, so-called distress. No one invites distress in order to suffer, but it still comes. Similarly, even if we do not endeavor to obtain the advantages of material happiness, we shall obtain them automatically. This happiness and distress are obtainable in any form of life without endeavor. Thus, there is no need to waste time and energy fighting against distress or working very hard for happiness. Our only business in the human form of life should be to revive our relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus become qualified to return home back to Godhead. Material happiness and distress come as soon as we accept a material body, regardless of what form. We cannot avoid such happiness and distress under any circumstances. The best use of human life, therefore, lies in reviving our relationship with the Supreme Lord Vishnu. Distance. So this is Bhagavatam. This is another very famous verse which is frequently cited, frequently quoted. Tasaiva heto prayate kovido. We might see the same word, na labhyate. If you see this verse and then the previous, our purport today, same verse has been used. That's why I put it one next to the other. If you see that the sarvatra labhyate devad means it's been ordained by the material nature. The deva, they have already ordained it. And based on what? Based on our past life activities. It has already been ordained. Sarvatra labhyate devad. Like we cannot adjust it. Devad. Same, the word same labhyate is appearing here too. Tasyeva heto prayate the kovidho na labhyate. We cannot, okay, so na labhyate. So in the same way, what is obtainable? Okay, so na labhyate yad brahmatham upariyadaha tal labhyate. Again, same word. Dukkavad anyataha sukham kalena sarvatra gambhira ramsa. So translation, as far as happiness derived from sense enjoyment is concerned, it can be obtained automatically in course of time, just as in course of time we obtain miseries, even though we do not desire them. So this is a translation. We can see the similarity between the verse that we are discussing and 1.5.18. So that's such similar verse, what Prahlad Maharaj saying, and this verse here, Tasyeva heto prayate kovido. So purport in the last few lines alone I've taken here because it's like almost identical to the purport of the verse that we are discussing. Similarly, everyone has his destined happiness also. No one can get more or less of these things simply by personal endeavors. No matter what you do, you cannot change it. Even if they are obtained, they can be lost again. One should not therefore waste time even by atonement, even if they are obtained. That means like by atoning, even if you have obtained something, then they can still be lost again. So one should not therefore waste time with energy, these flimsy things. One should only endeavor to go back to Godhead. That should be the mission of everyone's life. So that means don't try to keep adjusting this, because what is bound to come is bound to happen, because we are already conditioned under the modes of material nature, which will dictate us to act in a certain way, make certain do in a certain things, and we are forced to act in a certain way, and we will get exactly what we are destined to get based on our past life activities. And this is Devat. Okay, na labhyate. What is it? What does the word say? Sarvatra labhyate Devat. All the things we are getting obtaining Devat, but under the divine ordinance. The various Devas, they are giving a Devat under the supervision of the Supreme Lord Krishna himself. Validation number 8. This is another verse in the same canto, 7.2.40. So this is very this one, Prabhupada actually cites it in many lectures as well. So on a path, okay, that's the word here, pati. So that's the same, coming from the English word is coming from the same Sanskrit word here. So sometimes one loses his money on a public street. So where everyone can see it, yet his money is protected by destiny and not seen by others. So it is there on the street. Anybody could have taken it, but because destiny is ordained that you're not supposed to lose it, you will always get it. Nobody's going to take it. Dishtarakshitam. Dishtarakshitam. That's the word here. Dishtarakshitam. So it is there. It is protected. It is there. Dishtarakshitam. Sometimes one loses money on a public street where everyone can see it, yet his money is protected, okay, by destiny and not seen by others. So that means, like, if you're not supposed to lose something, you're not going to lose it. If you're going to get something, you're going to get it. Okay, so no need to worry about it. So it will happen on its own. Validation number 9. Canto 10, verse 36, verse 39. Okay, so this is also a famous verse here. Manoratan karoti uchair jano deva hatan api. See, again, I've used the same, I've put this verse here because the same word deva. So just like how labhyate, and what labhyate obtainable? Deva. So the devas under the control of the Supreme Lord have already made sure that this is what it is going to be. An ordinary person is determined to act on his desires, even when fate prevents there. Okay, that is what deva hatan api. So the translation here goes as even when fate prevents their fulfillment. So that means, like, we cannot change what we are about to get. Validation number 10. Okay, this is in the 8th canto, chapter 19, verse 25. Hum shoyam Samskrite hetu, the word hetu is there. Hetu means cause. What is the root cause for us? Asantosho arthakamiyo. So that means material existence causes disconnect in regarding to fulfilling one's lusty desires and achieving more and more money. This is the cause for the continuation. What is the hetu? What is the cause for all these things? For the continuation of material life, which is full of repeated birth and death. But one who's satisfied by that which is obtained by destiny is fit for liberation from this material existence. So whatever comes by destiny, if I'm saying that, okay, that's fine, I'll take it, then they are okay, then they are happy, then they are then they are fit for liberation. At that time, they are Atmarama. They are self-satisfied. They understand their position as the soul. They understand. That they are the spirit soul. Then they are able to take whatever comes to them in the material realm by destiny. They are able to take it as it is. Then one is happy, prasannatma. But then if you take, but the other way is, but if you're not content with what is coming by destiny, and then if this is the cause for continuation of the material birth and death, if you're not this, then one is acts under the stringent grips of the material nature and works in such a way that they are completely controlled by the three modes of material nature and the combinations of it, okay, and the various combinations of the modes of material nature, and all this in the different permutations and combinations of the amount of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Then one acts in a certain way. But one who's satisfied with what one obtains, labhyate, by destiny, by divine ordinance, okay, then one is content. So that means one can, so if we want to get something in life, let's say that we are trying to get some promotion, some economic things, some kind of a better living situation. And if we are striving for that, the happiness is not going to come, because that is not the way to become happy. Because if that way of becoming happiness, you're never going to be happy, because you're under the stringent grip of material nature there, by the modes of material nature. But then one can be satisfied by a different way. And what is that? To accept things as it is. So if you have that acceptance, accepting what comes by destiny, then one is happy, and one becomes the prasannatma. Then at that time, Krishna Bhakti start, Mad Bhaktim Labate Param. So at that time, Krishna Bhakti will start. So this verse, again, the same verse is used here. Devani Srishtena. So, my dear brother, by the influence of destiny, Bhagavatam 10.4.5, my dear brother, by the influence of destiny, the verse is to Kamsa here. By the influence of destiny, you've already killed many babies. Devaki is saying this, each of them as bright and beautiful as fire. Mother Devaki is saying this, but kindly spare this daughter, give her to me as your gift. Devaki, Prabhupada says Devaki knew very well that because killing of her many children, he has been ordained by destiny. So here, so intelligent, Mother Devaki is not some ordinary person. So incident, she's not saying that because Kamsa just came and he thought, and he by his own he just came and killed all those things. She attributes it to the destiny. Kamsa was not to be blamed. Kamsa was not to be blamed. So there's no point blaming that person, this person, for various things. Okay, everybody, what they behave, what they do, how. Okay, so we get frequently worried. Okay, that person behaved like this to me, this person behaved like this to me. But what we do not understand is all those people are under the stringent grips of material nature, and they act by the modes of material nature, and they cannot change it. They cannot come and say, okay, I will behave differently towards you today. I'll behave different. I've just changed myself. I can come. So she says Kamsa was not to be blamed. Okay, so we don't have to be unhappy that different people are behaving differently to us, and they're not behaving exactly the way we want them to behave towards us, because they are not going to behave any differently, because they are behaving based on what has been ordained by destiny. And how is the destiny determined? By their past life activities, and therefore they cannot. So in all these things behind our mind, we are trying throughout these things. There is something that I'm not saying, and that's what we are trying to think here probably. And that is, if that is the case, what can I do? If all these things are coming and I have to accept things as it is there something that I can do? Towards the end of the lecture, we'll talk about it. Like, what is it that we can do? If we cannot control how others are going to behave towards us, can we do something to something at all? But I'll talk about it at the end. But as long as we are under the stringent grips of material nature, even we cannot do anything to it. If somebody XYZ is behaving in a certain way towards us, and we are also going to react based on how the modes of material nature dictate us to do. Okay, but is there something that we can do? Are we a stone? No, that we will talk about at the end. But under the material nature grips, and as long as we are in the grips of material nature, nothing can be done. Validation number 12. Okay, so Charan Vindati Yadishtam translation. According to his destiny, he sometimes receives punishment and is driven out, and other times receives a little food to eat. Similarly, the living entity, being influenced by so many desires, wanders in different species of life according to destiny. So according to destiny, we wander in different species of life. So we just don't even know what all is even there for us after this life. The reason why we take this life so seriously and not take something, some people think that, okay, this is things have become, they perceive things have to become very bad for us right now, and let's just end this body and move on. But the future lives can be even worse than this. So the best is not to go into these kind of thoughtless decisions of ending one's life, because it's a very bad decision to take, because we still have a possibility to rectify our current life and make things better. And so far, all the verses are saying that we cannot make things better, but I will tell you at the end how to make things better. And this is a learned audience. The Vaishnavas probably already know all the answers to this, but still, it might be a nice refresher to think through through the eyes of the Shastras, through so many verses, how to take all the scriptures as it is and understand to us. So according to destiny, we are driven in so many conditions and conditions of life, and none of it we can make it better. None of it we can make it better. We are already destined. What is our next life? Everything is already decided based on our activities, and what we are doing this life is going to determine several things in our future lives as well. So 13th validation, Srimad Bhagavatam. This I've taken from the purport, Canto 9, Chapter 9, verse 33. And here, this is, Prabhupada also cites from this Brahma Samhita, verse 5.50 or 54, Karmani Nirdati. So as one is put into Kintu Jabhakti Bhajham, that's the verse. As one is put into distress by destiny, destiny can also put one in a happy situation. Okay, so distress is there, but destiny can also change it and put one in a happy situation. Destiny is extremely strong, but one can change destiny if one comes to the platform of Krishna consciousness. But one is not coming to but what Prabhupada is saying is, even if by coming to Krishna consciousness, even though one is possible to change how one is perceiving this happiness, distress, and so on, but try not to use this Krishna consciousness in order to change the material things, because that is not because even if you try to change it, okay, after some time, whatever you're destined to come is still going to come after that. And therefore, don't try to change even if possible, through Krishna consciousness, by approaching the different devas. That is the atonement. Temporarily, maybe one is able to adjust something by divine intervention, by the atonement. And Krishna consciousness is the supreme atonement. By chanting, so try not to chant the first round, okay, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Within the mind, it practically goes, okay, today I will achieve this thing in my work and get certain things in my life. Okay, that is not something that goes on during our chanting. So through Krishna consciousness, one don't try to change the destiny through divine intervention either, whether it is through the devas or through the supreme Keshava himself. Don't try to change it. Okay, that's what Prabhupada is trying to say here. And then it goes on. This is the same verse, Tasyeva Hetu Pratetu Kovido. Again, I took from this purport here because it's a famous verse. It's so similar to the purport here. Similarly, everyone has his distinct happiness also. No one can get more or less of these things simply by personal endeavors. By personal endeavors, you cannot just change. Depending on the depending on the modes of material nature, how they act in a certain thing, everything's distant. What exactly is going to happen? So this is another famous verse, Srimad Bhagavatam, from translate 10.5.30. Nunam hi adrishtanishtoyam adrishta paramo janaha. Every man, janaha, the man, is certainly controlled by destiny, which determines the results of one's fruitive activities. In other words, one has a son or a daughter because of the unseen destiny. You cannot see it. That is the reason why you're not able, why people find it so hard to understand that things are going to happen in a certain way, because you cannot see it then. And when the son or daughter is no longer present, this also is due to unseen destiny. He's taken the extreme example here. Okay, what is the extreme example here? The biggest suffering that one can have in this life is that if one loses their children, that is the biggest suffering, and that also happens due to an unseen destiny. Because it is like we as parent, if we are living as the children or dead, that is the biggest suffering one can have. Destiny is the ultimate controller of everyone, and this destiny itself is controlled finally by what is destiny is controlled by the devas, okay, and that itself is controlled by the supreme Govinda. One who knows this is never bewildered. That destiny cannot be changed. So we accept it. This is the art of accepting what comes by us. If we are able to accept it, our life will be peaceful. Our life is not going to be peaceful by trying to change what is going to come, but our life would be peaceful by accepting what we get. So a lot of this is based on the third chapter of the applications in the Bhagavatam. We see are all quoted in the third chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. So everyone is forced to act helplessly according to the qualities he has acquired from the modes of material nature. We are forced to act in a certain way. Okay, we are forced to act everyone is forced to act helplessly. You see the word there, helplessly. Nahi kaschit shanam api. Just everything is act in a certain way. Sarva prakriti jair gune he. So that means prakriti, modes of material nature based on what that person has acquired. So one is helplessly forced to act. So let's not try to blame someone for the way they act, because they are all acting under the stringent grips of material nature. So these are my last two verses, which I would think is a take-home message for, I have 3 slides now. This verse is the verse on destiny. But then what I did not speak about today is free will, which is the next verse. Okay. And these two are so brilliantly there in the Bhagavad Gita as the verses one next to each other. Verse 3.27 is the verse on destiny. The next verse, 3.28, is the verse on free will. And Krishna places the destiny verse and the free will verse one next to the other. So brilliantly spoken. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasha ahankara vibhudatma kartaham iti manyate. So the spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of the activities that are actually carried out by the 3 modes of material nature. That means that actually the modes of material nature are carrying out these activities, but the doer thinks that they themselves doing it, and then they're attributing it, whether they are getting a reward or whether they're getting unhappiness to themselves. But what they should understand is they do not have to think about all these things, because the modes of material nature are the actual doer. So this is the verse on destiny. So whenever we have these, this is a very nice thing. Even for in learning purpose, we can always know if somebody talks to us about destiny, free will, at least we can learn one verse about destiny, one verse about free will. So in that way, we can know what is it intelligently we can cite, what is it that we can talk about. So this 3.27 verse is the verse on Prakriti Kriyamanani Gunai Karmani Sarvaya Ankara Viradhamma Kartaham Iti Manyate. This is the verse on destiny. Okay, the next verse itself is the verse on free will. Tattva vittu mahabaho guna karma vibhagayo. So this is the verse on free will. So one who is in knowledge of the absolute truth, oh mighty arm, does not engage himself in the senses and sense gratification, knowing well the differences between work and devotion and work for fruitive activities. This is the verse on free will. The next one, that means that like if one is in Krishna consciousness and one is able to, who's got this knowledge of the absolute truth, when the bhakti yoga is there, it's a superset, and all the karma yoga, jnana yoga, dhyana yoga, everything is under the purview, is automatically obtained. All the knowledge is implicitly imparted to someone who is understanding the personality of Godhead, Krishna. And for such a person, there is free will. They, in fact, have unlimited free will, that they are able to go do things at their will. Like if you take the Kumaras, for example, completely under the completely out of the grips of the material nature, they're able to use the unlimited free will and go travel to any planet at their will. Take the opposite. Someone who is under the material conditioning has to have a visa to go from one country to another country, or some passport to go from one country to another country. That means that they're under the stringent grips of material nature, that they don't even have the free will to even go from one place to another place. That is the amount of grip that they are in. But the opposite, you can see with the Kumaras, the four Kumaras, or the people under the liberated state, they are completely under the spiritual platform. They have unlimited free will, and they can go from one place to another. They can go from one planet to another planet. And in this way, they are under, they have full freedom. So how are they? That is what this verse is saying. They are in the knowledge of the absolute truth. Oh, okay. So they have, who is the knowledge of the absolute truth? They are already in the Brahma Bhuta platform, completely full of knowledge, and they do not engage themselves in the senses and sense gratification. They know they have already disconnected themselves from the material platform. They have the free will. They can go. Suddenly, you see the Kumaras, they are coming down, descending, and then they're coming into the assembly of, like, for example, Prithu Maharaj, and then he's doing a sacrifice. They are coming and descending. The different devas are coming. So in this way, those who are under, because that is the devas is a different issue. Okay, so they have a different kind of deha. That's a different issue. So, but if one has free will, then, so depending on the proportion to which we are not under the grips of material nature, with that proportion, our free will increase. Prabhupada says, this is a conclusion, if you have no free will, then you are a stone. The stone has no free will. So you want to become a stone, then you must have free will. Then if you don't want to become a stone, right? So you must have free will. But don't misuse your free will. What is the misuse of free will? Not acting on Krishna consciousness every second. That is the misuse of free will. Every second we have a choice. We have a choice. And what is the choice? Whether to act Anukulya Krishna Anushiranam, whether we can act under the control of the internal energy. Under the Antaranga Shakti, if we can act, that is the free will we have. And if you misuse it and say, no, I'm not going to act under the internal energy, but I'm going to act under the external energy, then we'll come under the stringent grip of material nature, and it will be forced to act in a certain way. That is not life. So that means that you're not a stone, right? A stone doesn't have free will. So that means Prabhupada says that every second we have that free will to choose to act in such a way that we can come under the Krishna consciousness. And we have that full free will, depending on the free will to choose every second. We have the thing to choose. There is a very nice verse at the end. We want to pray sincerely to Krishna in order for us to be able to act every second in Krishna consciousness. Prayer is the most powerful thing. And I will end this thing by saying about the importance of prayer. Krishna says that we do not have any right in the material platform except one right. And what is the right we have? That will not be taken away from us even at the time of death. And that is the right to pray. At the time of death, also we have the right to pray to Krishna. At that time also, he won't take away that right. So with that, I will end this thing and we'll open this for discussion. And if I have said anything incorrect or would like to add anything, please feel free to do so. I would again like to thank Gandharvika Mataji for asking me to come here. I was just told about this lecture last night, so I quickly put something together here. But thank you very much. Please forgive me for any offenses. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Brilliant lecture. Thank you so much for coming in this platform and again shaking us up to what reality is. Prabhuji, I have a few questions. One is a very fundamental question, Prabhu. Who creates this destiny? Is it ourselves, our karma? And if that's yes, our first birth was as Lord Brahma. Were we still under the modes of material nature that we went and we created such destiny? Thank you.
So, most of these verses, Mataji, they do not go into the origin of the problem and stuff, because they assume that we have been here for time, since time immemorial. So for all practical purpose, how the initial cause, the root cause of the thing is not addressed in most of these verses. And because it's since time immemorial, we've already been here. And so it has all accumulated over many, many things. But the initial fall is again the lack of Krishna consciousness. And that is the original, if you can call it the original sin, is the lack of Krishna consciousness, which led to the fall down from the spiritual realm. That caused the series of things, events to happen after that.
Yes, Prabhuji, wonderful. And you said so beautiful, so heart-touching. The only right we have in this world is prayers, prayers, and prayers. So sometime I wonder, then why, if we are going out, like we all are householders here, Prabhu, so we go out to our day-to-day job, work, etc. And why would chanting or calling Krishna at that time to have a good destiny is not recommendable? Why should we feel guilty? For example, if you're going out and we say, "Oh, Krishna, I'm going into this meeting, please be with me," or "Please help me navigate this." Why should I
So
feel?
Mataji, it is okay. What you're saying is
Okay.
is okay. It's
Okay.
just Prabhupada, because if you see the Bhagavad Gita verse, it says Arthu Artharthi Jignasu Jnani Cha Bhartashapa. There are 4 kinds of people who go towards Krishna and who pray to Krishna. And
Yes.
who are they? Those who are distressed, those who are wanting some economic gratification, who is wanting sense gratification, who are inquisitive, Artho, Artharthi, Jignasu, inquisitive, Jnani, those who want knowledge. All 4 people are going towards Krishna. So that doesn't mean that those who are wanting a certain, to have them, let's say, a thing like what you're saying, Mataji, like a meeting to go in a favorable way to us. So, but the reason why Prabhupada saying is not the best to, in that circumstance, I'll give you a series of reasons why. Number one, Krishna is not our order carrier.
Yes.
So he is not someone who is coming and that we turn to and says, "Oh, Krishna, please make my meeting go well. Please make my next job go well. Please make sure that my boss talks to me in a nice way. Please make sure that all my relatives are all respecting me and talking to me in a nice way." Krishna is not an order carrier. So it gives a wrong kind of path for us forward when we use Krishna for all these things. Okay. But by mercy, Krishna, sometimes he gives what we are asking for too. But many times he does not give as well, because that he gives and he does not give. Depending on the intensity of the prayer, sometimes Krishna says, finally, okay, fine, just take it. Okay, he gives us something, because some of the things might be so important for us and we have prayed so intensely to Krishna. Sometimes he gives us too. But number 2 is this path, even if Krishna gives us, okay, that in that particular case the destiny is changed, okay, and Krishna says, okay, here it is changed, it is changed, now take it the way it is. Even if that is the case, the next set of actions, we are still going to get what we have sown in our past lives, and therefore temporarily it might give a little relief. That is the story of the elephant. Okay, so it went in, did the atonement, and here the atonement we are doing is directly to Krishna, and then at the same time we are again going to act in a certain way. It's not like the way by which we act has changed. Number 3 is the conditioning of our conditioning has still not changed. That means that we have not taken the endeavor to change ourselves through this Krishna consciousness. And because of that, there is, even though with the temporary thing that we have got, the series of things that we're going to get after that is still going to happen as it is. We're still going to behave the same way. People are going to still consider us the same way. It's so none of that is also changed. And therefore, Prabhupada says, why are you going and asking for all these small, small things from the Lord? But rather, do Krishna consciousness without contamination. Contamination of Jnana Yoga, contamination of Karma Yoga, contamination of Hatha Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, whatever. All these Mishra Bhakti, mixed devotion with all these other things. Let it go and choose Shuddha Bhakti, the gemstone of pure devotional service, Shuddha Bhakti Chintamani, the pure gemstone of devotional, the pure Bhakti Lata beach. That creeper is so, but then you come, all these weeds come and destroy that creeper of bhakti, and therefore we don't try, we try. So it's okay, it's still okay to go to Krishna for these kind of things, but Krishna will, with the hope that Krishna will eventually purify us, but at some sort of the other way, we have to use our free will to put that effort towards Krishna consciousness.
Absolutely.
And if we just keep on waiting forever, that okay, we'll pray to Krishna for something or the other. Oh, my child has fever, let's pray for that. Let's pray, at some place we have to put an end to it, right? So thank you, Mataji. Sorry.
Yes, Prabhu. No, wonderful answers, Prabhu. Yeah, so everything is like, it's kind of, whether you do the endeavor or not, it's predestined. So when the people, they play the Super Bowl, or when they have the people have exams, it's like predestined whether they will pass or who's going to win, who's going to lose, regardless of their endeavor.
And you can actually feel that, Mataji, because what happens is, like, let's say you took the example of some Super Bowl. So, for example, everything will fall in place. Like, you get a certain things in a certain way. You might get a certain coach. You might get a certain environment. You might get a certain audience who cheer you in a certain way. Everything will fall in place to make sure that that happens.
Right. Wonderful.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Vinita Mataji, you have a question for?
Yeah, I just want to thank Prabhuji. Prabhuji, thank you so much, Prabhu. Yesterday I called you very late night, and still you came up with the PPT. I was shocked how Prabhuji is so dedicated to preach Krishna consciousness. And any time we call you, you're always available, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. I really like the class. The main essence of the class is, yes, we are in suffering in this material condition. We are in suffering. We have to accept whatever comes to us. But then we have, as a Krishna conscious devotee, how can we change this? Is to surrender at the lotus feet of the Lord. When we surrender at the lotus feet of the Lord, we don't take suffering as a suffering, because we see Krishna's mercy in that, and we try to accept and we try to grow from there. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Very, very grateful to you.
Thank you, Mother. Very nicely said.
Preeti Vilasini Mataji, you have a question?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. Shrila Prabhupada, thank you so much for coming on the call and putting up this very interesting presentation with all the quotes from different places. So, Prabhu, I really don't have a question per se, but I wanted to ensure that I've understood this correctly. So basically, all of us are driven by our activities, and we all accrue karma. And that is fate or destiny is generally, you have to accept destiny and move on. All of us are driven by the laws of destiny, which is kind of unchangeable to an extent. And how are we driving this life is only because of the modes of material nature that is governing this world. So depending on the mode of material nature I'm performing certain activities. And because of that, I am destined, or I'm already destined to have certain reactions for each of the activities that I'm performing. So far, am I correct or no?
Go ahead, Mataji.
Okay. Keep going. And then finally, you spoke about free will, and you said we do have a free will, though we are mostly governed by destiny. We also have free will, and the free will is proportionate to our engagement in Krishna consciousness. Like you gave the example of the Kumaras and a person who's helplessly traveling because of work or something like that. So proportionate to our surrender to Krishna, our free will is also becoming more and more prominent. And the way to get over the entire thing is, of course, eventually surrendering to Krishna and accepting and moving on. And then our life is, and we can choose to react in a particular way because of our surrender to Krishna, though things per se don't change so much. Is this understanding correct from this?
Overall, Mataji. So as long as we are under the stringent, under the modes of material nature, the modes of material nature is the doer and and it forces us to act in a certain way. But every step we have the free will to choose Krishna consciousness and correct our behavior. And that is in our hands. So every second we can choose whether we are acting in a way which is pleasing to Krishna, or are we going to be under the grips of material, or are we going to be under material conditioning. So the free will is there always. It is always there. Every second the free will is there. It's just that we should not misconstrue that free will to think that it is there to change some material circumstance. That free will is there for us to choose Krishna every second and go back to Godhead anytime. And Krishna, and with that free will, so many things can be achieved in the spiritual realm. So if we want our preaching to go well, our sharing to go well, everything requires they're all not distant. They're all completely under the free will platform. So our preaching work, we going to temple, we going to eat prasadam and all are not distant activities. They're all there they're all because of we have chosen to be Krishna consciousness. We are putting our effort, spiritual effort, to go to temple. Those are all not distant activities. But if we are doing some kind of material activity completely without any Krishna conscious activity, then those are all under the stringent grips of material nature. So even coming to this presentation, or every day in the morning, whoever is so sincere coming every day, which is not me, and they are using the free will. They are using the free will to come to this, taking their time out and to please Krishna somehow or the other, right? So that is a free will.
Yes, Prabhu. Very nice.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
And karma is something that determines destiny, like Mataji was asking.
Yes, that is the it's our activities over age, over many the prarabdha karma, over many lifetimes, all that has been accrued, and then have been accrued, and what we call as destiny or fate or something is all created by us. And how have we created? That is the thing. I'll give you an example, Mataji. There is this even in the material realm. There is this professor from I read this book. It is he's from Stanford, and it's called Predetermined or something. It's a very new book in the past few years. I read this book just a few months ago, and but it's completely nothing to do with Krishna consciousness literature or something. But the person is a distinguished professor in Stanford, and dean of some college or whatever. I don't remember exactly what the material qualification is. But then, but when you read it, they are talking about how things are predetermined, and completely from a neurological standpoint, from a material standpoint, how is it that we are not able to change what is bound to happen by our material endeavors? And you can see the scientific evidence. And I was like so amazed at how whatever is there in the Bhagavatam, okay, here somebody through material research has written that. I will send the book name to maybe Preeti Vilasni Mataji and Vinita Gandharva Mataji. They can probably share with the group. Very nice group. I got it from the library here and read the book. And so in that way, we have created the situation that we have right now, and which is not possible to change. Not a bit is possible to change.
Prabhuji, when you were mentioning that he has written a book based on material, he's giving proof from material circumstances. So, is he doing it like in terms of the body, meaning like nervous system, something like that?
Something like that. Something like that. But you can see what material scientists are, how they are understanding, because in psychology this is a big subject, and so you can see from that, like from a completely material realm, how people are understanding these things, and how people were the scientists, material scientists were perceiving and understanding this in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and now this is the most recent thing, and some researchers actually pointed this book to me, and I read it just for understanding how it is being perceived in the academic world. So
they talk about the subtle body or the gross body, bro?
It's a big book, Mataji. I'll give you the thing. Maybe you can take it from your local library or something and then take a look at it. It of course talks about the mind in the sense of neuronal circuitry, how those kind of things. I don't want to go into this in this lecture right now because I just don't want to confuse anybody, because it's really up to them whether they want to read that kind of books or not. So,
sure.
Because sometimes people get confused reading literature which are not directly under the Krishna conscious platform. So I'm not like advocating that book or anything. So
definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Diamond Association. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Wonderful questions, brilliant answer. We have a question from Radha Jyoti Mataji. She's saying, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So what is expected in a given situation to accept it and tolerate it or take an action? Please, if we don't desire, we won't pray, nor we will take actions. How do we understand this?
So there are one thing is regarding acceptance and tolerance. It should come naturally and not artificial. Artificial tolerance is very painful, because every time we feel like, oh, we are tolerating, that person is so bad to me, that this person is I'm tolerating, I'm a great person. Okay. But that kind of tolerance is very painful. And it is not tolerance at all in the first place. So tolerance has to be real. And real tolerance will come with Krishna consciousness. And they are really able to, the word tolerance is used, but not in a negative connotation. It is a positive feeling. Tolerance is like they are able to take things as it is. They are so happy about whatever happens, anything happens. They are so happy. They're able to tolerate and act in such a way that that they have really accepted the situation as it is, as being given by destiny or by Krishna. In whichever, if they are under material conditioning, it is given by destiny, which is itself under the purview of Krishna. But finally, if they are Krishna conscious, they will think that Krishna himself has given us a certain situation, and therefore we accept it and please Krishna in that way, that we are always happy no matter what it is. So in that way, having real tolerance, not the fake tolerance. There is a fake tolerance where we are just tolerant. Oh boy, I'm tolerating everything in this planet, and then, oh, I'm so great. Okay, I'm a Mahatma, I'm so tolerant. That's a fake tolerance. It's very, very painful. If somebody has exhibited that fake tolerance, somebody is constantly coming and, you can coming and taking out on you, and then you're just, all that is built up within us. Okay, we are all that anger, everything is built up. It's just that we're not reacting externally, but the mind is all completely polluted. Our heart is polluted, and we are all the time thinking, oh, that person is being so mean to us, always mean to us. So it's just, but I'm so tolerating and not acting in the way. So that fake tolerance is not what I'm talking about. But the real tolerance, if we will get it only if we are in the spiritual platform. And this acting that we are doing is the spiritual. There is a material acting, there is a spiritual acting. We act on the material platform or we act on the spiritual platform. So what we are talking about today is if we have we always have the free will at our disposal to act in the spiritual platform. And every activity that we are doing in this material world can be spiritually done. Okay, and that is converting from the material to the spiritual domain. But if we act in the material domain, then those actions come under the grips of material nature. And for us to act in a way which is pleasing to Krishna, is for that we have to constantly pray. We have to constantly pray so that we act in a way that is pleasing to Krishna. Material activities, whether we pray or not, is going to come on its own. On its own, the various material things are going to happen. But for us to deal with it in an intelligent way, we pray to Krishna every minute so that we know how to act in a proper Krishna conscious way. When we think Krishna conscious, I'm not just talking about just the like when every time when we talk to someone, how to talk in such a way that it is pleasing to Krishna. How to talk in such a way that it is we act in a way which is pleasing to Krishna. So that is Krishna conscious actions. So I'll stop there, Mataji, because it's.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. We have a question from our dear Tiffany Mataji. Mataji, how are you doing? If you would like to ask your question, Mata.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for your class. You actually answered my question when you were answering Priti Valasini Mataji, but I just wanted to thank you for the class. You know, it's so well prepared. It looks like you've done this for days. I can't believe you know, that Mataji called you last night and asked you, and your service is always so beautiful.
Thank you, Mataji.
And, yes, this was Krishna's will. You were definite. That's why it happened. You were definitely meant to give this class this morning. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Such a nice example of predestined. Lalita Mataji, you have a question for
me, Mataji.
Yes, dear. Present my obeisances, O Lord Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for your wonderful class. Basically, during the class, I got a message from Vrindavan from my friend. And I want to take advantage of your association in this realm of presenting this will, what's our will and what's our destiny. I'll just read it. It's very short. She's had a tough life, but she's a very nice devotee. Her son's not very kind to her. And now they don't let her see her 2 grandchildren, just so you'll get the gist of it. She said, Radhe, I went to this very famous Ayurvedic doctor, amazing man, 90 years old, but he looks much younger. He consults in the morning and chants 64 rounds every day. Anyway, he said, I have stage 3 uterus cancer. I have a treatment for 2 weeks, very complicated treatment. After I have to see him to see how my body reacts to the treatment. He has cured many cancers, but I would have to be in Vrindavan for at least 9 months. Not sure what I want. If my son was nice to me and I could see my girls, it would be keeping me going. But what is the future if I get cured? Work till the end of my life? I think I'd rather die. I'm not upset, can't figure out what I want. We'll do tests to confirm it, but I already know he's right. He also saw the cyst on my breast. He is amazing. So I thought I would take advantage of your guidance in this, how to give Krishna conscious response to someone you have love for when they're in this position.
Mataji, it's a very serious question and very something in various ways people can relate to this question, and in their own with their own in their own circumstances. Of course, nobody can exactly know what the Mataji who is written to you is feeling, but in a group like this, a tailored answer though cannot be given because everybody's circumstance is different, and only a person who is so well known to them and who's a spiritual mentor would be able to give a proper answer. But in the interest of the listeners and for my own purification today, I'll maybe say a few things. And one important word here, Mataji, is patience. So when things don't go our way, we are not able to see, it's a very difficult situation. We are not able to see our grandchildren. We have a certain material condition of the body. Very difficult situation. What is making us go forward? Very nice question. And time is ticking. So one thing, Mataji, is patience. If we have things change, Mataji, today, what appears to be like this, in a few months, they might be able to see their grandchildren. They might be able to be with their grandchildren. Their son might be nice. Who is there? All these things can change instantly. And when there is a proper alignment of things, and I'm talking, this answer to right now, what I'm giving is only from the material perspective, because the person wants some kind of a comfort, material comfort. So I'm not talking about the spiritual realm at all as so far. So from a material perspective too, the only thing that is constant in this world is change. The current circumstance won't last, may not last at all. And it can end soon. And even if the person wants to pray for it sincerely to Krishna, Krishna can still give that to that person. Now I'll also go to the spiritual side. Number 2, Mataji, is having everything wonderful in one's life is not a very great thing, because it will take us away from Krishna. And it is also a way for Krishna to cut down our attachments a bit, so that we can, this is hard to hear from a person who's suffering. So that's why I didn't say this first. But it will give us some kind of a detachment to try to focus our attention on things which truly matter to us and which will help us in our future lifetimes, or if we go back to Godhead. And therefore, from that perspective, if someone is mean to us, our own son is being mean to us, or we are not able to see our grandchildren, we take it in such a way that we accept it. We pray to Krishna to give us the strength to accept it as a very wonderful thing that has happened to us. And if such a thing has not happened, my mind and attention would not be on Krishna. Now there comes a third perspective here, is now our mind is so much focused on the grandchildren, how the son is treating us, why is it that I am not allowed to see my grandchildren, and why is all these things happen? And that is preventing us from doing our spiritual work properly, because we are so clouded with our worries that it is preventing us from doing. But the thing is, we have to understand, no material conditioning has an effect on Krishna's names. Krishna's names are independent. It entirely comes from the Golok of Braja and not subject to any material situation. No matter the material, I have seen under material happiness and material suffering, both the things people find very difficult to chant, even though both material happiness and material suffering have nothing to do with names of Krishna. And therefore, we try to make our lives in such a way that, okay, let's have our life in a balanced way, so that at least our chanting won't be disturbed. All those things are good for the initial stages. But right now, so from a material perspective, the thing what I would say is to be patient, to not think ill of the son or whoever is preventing that grandmother, grandfather from seeing their grandchildren, to not think about it, to be patient and pray to Krishna that this is something, somewhere or the other, if they are able to see their grandchildren, they would feel happy. And if they want to someday, by destiny or by Krishna's will, those situations will change. And in the background, one should learn to accept the current situation. One should learn to accept the current situation, then one would be happy. What is that? See, so it is so easy for somebody to come and say, just take up Krishna consciousness and then accept it. It's very easy to say, but only that person will know how much they are suffering, because they are suffering in a certain way. It is very hard, even for you can see that in different situations. Sometimes parents are not able to see their children, grandparents are not able to see their children. But what is the root? There's no need to go into the root cause of all these problems. But just as how today there is suffering, tomorrow there would be a day which that person will also perceive it to be a happier day. I'll stop it there, Mataji. Is that okay?
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Was that okay, Mataji?
Yeah.
I shared a little bit based on the because it was like the whole audience, everybody's there here. So is that okay, Mataji?
Yes, very, very helpful. Thank you very much.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. I have a hand raised by iPhone. I don't know if it's Prabhuji or Mataji. Would you like to go ahead and ask your question, please?
Hare Krishna Mataji, this is Padma Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisance. All glories to Sri Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna Prabhu, very, very wonderful class, Prabhu. A nice presentation. I think maybe you have covered this. Please forgive me. I think I'm just trying to understand my understanding from the class. So, depending upon the modes of nature, our material nature, and also our samskaras and whatnot, the previous lives, prarabdha karma or whatnot, and this life, we are whatever the destiny, it will come. It bound to happen. Then we might think in a direction where, right, sometimes, like you gave the example of, if you have an exam, if you're destined to pass, you will pass. If you're destined to fail, you fail. Then when people are in that situation, if you think like that, then okay, whatever destiny is going to happen, why you have to endeavor? Because it's destined, right? So in a material perspective, the things like people who are not advanced and not thinking this, they might think like this: if it's destined to happen, it will happen. If it does not happen, then you don't even endeavor, right? And also about the Krishna consciousness thing, what you mentioned. So I endeavor to do, I'm talking about just myself, right? So I have a lot of excuse. Sometimes if I sleep late, right? Oh, you need to have 6 hours of sleep, otherwise you will not be functionable next. And then I might tend to sleep a little, wake up late, and I justify it. So how do you take that free will part, saying that am I acting according to the free will of what Krishna wanted, what Krishna is pleasing? How I don't know if I'm able to put my question properly, Prabhu.
No, I understood.
But yeah, sorry, Prabhu.
Understood. It is a good question. The reason why, see, when we talk to people who are who haven't read these things very carefully, we have to be careful the way we say things. And many preachers do not say it or do not say like this because I read it exactly from Prabhupada's purports and lectures and everything. When we talk to people, we have to be careful how we share things, how we have to use our intelligence to properly preach and share and everything. Because as you said, people can just think, okay, why do I have to, I'll give the scriptural thing as well as common sense, how we act, how we have to preach and share these things as well. The scriptural thing is, the person who's going to study and prepare for the exam, just because somebody comes and tells them this is destined, they are not going to change their endeavor. Because that they are going to act. If a person who's in the mode of passion, they are only going to act in such a way, they're going to work very hard to get their goal. Okay, they're not going to be able to, the modes of material nature will ensure that they act in a way that they're going to put that effort. Okay, so just because we come and tell them, okay, this is destined, they're not going to like turn the book and then just go and sleep. Okay, and a person in the mode of ignorance are going to act in such a way they're going to go towards laziness, sleep, indolence, and so on. And person of mode of who is acting predominantly in the mode of goodness is going to learn the subject for the sake of knowledge. Okay, so just because of this is said in words like this, it doesn't mean that the person is going to act in a way which is contrary to what the modes of material nature are forcing them to act on. And but from a common, when we are talking to people in general, we can do a lot of harm by just saying like this, that okay, everything is destined. So that's exactly what you're saying, because like if children, if they hear it and they say, okay, my parents said, okay, everything is destined, so I don't have to study. So we have to carefully know what to share, how to preach, and to what level the audience is in. So this kind of a discussion today was happening to an audience here, because I assume, because we are in the Canto 7 Bhagavatam today, that means like so many cantos have already passed. The nature of the audience today is already very advanced. And therefore, I could share it in this way. But but at every moment, we'll have to not alter things, what Prabhupada has said, but we do have to use our intelligence to know what to tell to whom. Like we cannot, somebody who is not educated to this level in the Bhagavatam, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, in our literature, to them, we just don't go artificially, we just don't go say a few things, and then in fact, we will do more harm to them. And therefore, we use our spiritual intelligence to properly share and preach based on the person's advancement. The way we preach to a neophyte, the way we preach to or share, if I can use a better word, to a person who is completely in the material realm, totally not aware of spiritual realm. To every person we speak appropriately and we share appropriately, and which will allow them to progress in Krishna consciousness. And my battery on my laptop is dying, so in a few minutes I might have to it might just go off. So if it goes off, please, I'll try to maybe make my screen less bright, in that way battery will stay for some more time. Yeah. Okay. Now,
Thank you.
The other part about free will, it is not that if we are thinking about, like, if I understood your question correct, Mataji, if you're thinking about, okay, let's sleep for 2-3 hours that is not free will. So a free will is every moment trying to act in such a way. We have two paths at every moment. One, be under the control of the Bahiranga Shakti, external energy, be under the control of the internal energy. If we can, that is why we are called marginal energy. Every time we have Tatastha Shakti, we are marginal energy, because we can come under the grip of the internal energy or the external energy. So every moment we can choose whether we want to be under the spiritual realm or whether we want to be under the material realm. We put ourselves under the control of Durga Devi, or we put under the control of the Yoga Maya. So in this way, every second we have the choice whether we want to be under the control of the external energy or the internal energy. So there, if we are trying to be under the control of the internal energy, then that is the use of the free will. So is that okay, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
So
And
grateful.
it is, I think one last thing I'll just say, that every time we use our intelligence for so many material activities, this is something which I heard from a sannyasi in ISKCON. And but when it comes to Krishna consciousness alone, sometimes we just take everything out, and we just don't even use our spiritual intelligence. Okay, so preaching and sharing is an art meant not for our satisfaction, but for Krishna's satisfaction. So we need to properly use it to be able to preach in such a way that we are not creating harm to others. In fact, we should benefit others. So, like, for example, in Mahabharata, if you take the example where Arjuna was fighting in a mediocre way, Even though for an outsider, they would think, okay, why is Krishna asking Arjuna to fight hard and work hard? Because Krishna asked him to do so. That is a spiritual endeavor. So Krishna told him, work hard. Okay, do not perform in a mediocre way. And then Bhishma, and then he himself had to go and take the wheel and everything and do with fight with Bhishma because he was not satisfied with Arjuna's performance. So that means we should know how to preach, how to share, and everything. So all this is the whole spiritual subject is, if we take bits and pieces from different places, it can give us very wrong ways of understanding things, even though we understand things as it is, but at the same time, at every moment, we try to please Krishna. So then that's how Arjuna's performance in the Kurukshetra, how Krishna directly told him how he should fight better. From a material perspective, it will look like it is a material endeavor, but it is actually a spiritual endeavor. So every activity that we are doing, we can actually spiritualize it. We are going to write an exam. From a material perspective, it is distant, but from a spiritual perspective, it is not. So we can use our free will to work very hard for Krishna's satisfaction, so that we get some kind of a degree or the other, which can be used in Krishna's service. So somebody will come and think, okay, this person has some kind of a big degree. And if that person is saying something, maybe there is meaning to it. Material things may not be distant, but you still have the free will to get the best grade under the protection of Krishna. That is not distant. So somebody who's destined to get a fail grade can always work for the pleasure of Krishna, and Krishna will provide him that A grade, which is not being destined by material nature. That is the use of free will. Is that okay, Mataji?
I think Padma Mataji is on mute, but I think that's more than okay. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. I actually, you read my mind. I was thinking, yes, we can transform every material activity into a spiritual activity. And probably, Prabhuji, when you're talking about spiritual intelligence, that would come when we actually chant. The vibration, the clarity of mind increases. So you see things very much more in a more logical way, but not get attached to it, but do the work for the work's sake and offer the fruits to Krishna. Thank you so much,
that ladder, Mataji, the material senses dictate to the material mind, which dictate to the material intelligence, which dictate to the false ego. That is the platform we are working. But if we reverse it, the true ego, which is under the service of Krishna, is then dictating to the spiritual intelligence, which is dictating to the spiritual mind, which dictates to the spiritual body. That is the proper way by which order should come. So not that our senses should be dictating our mind, which in turn dictates. So that's what you are saying. So.
Thank you. Thank you. Radha Jyoti, sorry, Prabhuji, do you still have time to continue? Are you running?
Yeah, for a few minutes, Mataji, then we'll stop. Maybe one question more. Maybe.
One or two questions.
One or two questions. So.
I know Radha Jyoti Mataji has raised her hand from a long time, but there was another hand also that was raised. I don't see. Mataji, go ahead with your question, please.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam to you. Thank you for for giving me the opportunity to take the question. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Actually, you answered my question. I was about to ask about what is the limitation of spiritual intelligence, because after a certain point, if the prayers are going to overtake and we have the free will to pray, so we will pray for our Krishna consciousness, but there are some duties, and then when we take into the duties, we encounter the problems, and then we are thinking how to apply the intelligence, the spiritual intelligence, to solve it, or to to have an understanding to look at it. So that was my question, because there are some certain limitations for that spiritual intelligence also, and after that only we understand prayers are much more powerful. and praying for the services also. So could you please tell how to understand the limitations, because we can overflow with the spiritual intelligence also, right? That was my question, Prabhuji.
Mataji, exactly, I don't understand the question, but I'll say a few things. I don't know whether I'm going to be addressing the question because I'm to the extent I'm understanding, I will say. But in the spiritual realm, again, there is what is, I don't think I should really answer this, Mataji. I really don't even understand, actually. So maybe if somebody can paraphrase, I might do a better job.
Okay, I know, Prabhuji, you're running short of time. We have one or two questions on the chat. One was Vandana Sharma. She was really praising you. This was a very enlightening session. How can we continue your association, Prabhu? Do you have other lectures, recordings? Can we access that, please?
Yeah, sure, Mataji. If there is, I've given a couple in the local temples and all here, but ISKCON temples. But if there is something,
Mataji, we have a playlist of good Prabhuji's lecture. I can share in the chat box the playlist so that they can go through all the lectures that Prabhu has given in our forum. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you. Also, there was one quick chat from Shushilpa Mataji, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Does it mean accepting every situation with patience, considered as using our free will in Krishna conscious way? So should we continue to be patient if that's...
if it is true patience, true spiritual patience, true tolerance, then patience is always is considered as a virtue in all the shastras, and therefore even artificially, if we are patient, it's still good. It's still good, but after some time we can spiritualize it. Initially, it'll be very hard. It will burden because it'll create a lot of buildup within our heart, because that artificial patience is like, oh, we are being patiently, we are being patient. Maybe we are being used by somebody or something, so that can be a feeling within us. But eventually we can spiritualize it. But the true patience under the spiritual realm is very pleasing. We are not bothered. We are so, it is a very nice feeling. It won't allow us to react in ways that we normally do under material modes of material nature. And it's a wonderful feeling just to wait and be patient and let things fold as they come back.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so very much. In some situations, we have to decide, but most of the situations, patience definitely helps. I could experience.
You have to act in a certain thing, Mataji. But even there, you could consult with your spiritual mentors. You could consult; they can give you some enlightenment what to act. I mean, so the thing here is that, like, we're not a stone. We're just not going to be like that. So how to act, how to intelligently act. So our mind, because it's already conditioned from the way we are born, way we're raised and everything, our material conditioning for acting is where the problem comes. But there is a spiritual way to act for everything. And that we can learn from our mentors, spiritual mentors, a properly realized soul who is in touch with Krishna, who is able to tell us to act in such a way that we can do good for us, for others, and pleasing to Krishna.
So that small voice that we hear to act, okay, stay patient or react to it in a soft way, that is what Krishna...
I don't know that, Mataji, because that small voice may not be any of these things, because that is depends on one's material conditioning. It could be your own will that is actually giving that small voice. That voice and all cannot be trusted, because if one is under the pure platform of spiritual consciousness, that voice could be the Paramatma, the super soul, who is a silent spectator. Okay, on the bird of like two birds. This is what the Khatha Upanishad and Mundaka Upanishad say. It's like he's that person is a silent spectator, but who induces it as Chaitya Guru, the thing what you're talking about, okay, but who induces us with prayers. But you just cannot just go by that. If one is on the material platform, you just can't trust those kind of things. It is best to get an advice directly from a spiritual master. Or if the spiritual master is very busy and who is helping thousands of people, then you can get it from a direct spiritual mentor under the orders of the spiritual master. That is more reliable. That is the Vaishnava method. Vaishnava method is not to go and say, okay, let me, some inner voice is coming and telling me something, okay, I'll act in me. That might be some kind of, that is not a Vaishnava method. A Vaishnava method is always acting under the guidance of a spiritual master. That is, or spiritual masters, direct disciples who are more in contact with them, who are completely in the liberated platform, or who are way more advanced than us. That is the way by which we get guidance.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
I'll give you a simple example, Mataji. We don't even know how to pray, actually, because from our material, if we are born in the material circumstance and always, I mean, in a completely material conditioning and always been in that kind of thing, you know, we have been taught to pray even in a certain way. Oh, we pray for all of our bad things to go away. We pray for good things to happen to us. We pray for a great grade in the exam. We pray for a great economic benefit. That's how we have been conditioned to pray for. So how is it that we can rely on that voice to know how to pray for? But if we listen to a Vaishnava spiritual master, they will tell us how to pray. And the Bhagavatam teaches us how to pray, because the Bhagavatam is full of prayers. Like, different devotees have been in trouble, who have been in different kinds of material situations, starting from Parikshit Maharaj, who himself is ordained to die in 7 days. But everything, every part of Bhagavatam is a prayer. People are praying to the Lord and teaching us how to pray. Like Prahlad Maharaj, if you look at the 7th canto of the Bhagavatam, what is there in the 7th canto? The story is simple. We can put that in a small 4 or 5, 10 pages and present it to our children. You know, Prahlad Maharaj is born, he's being tortured by his father, then Narasimhadev came, and then in different conditions, Narasimhadev killed Hiranyakashipu, and then Prahlad Maharaj went for his, that's all there is in terms of the story. But then look at what is there in the 7th canto. Look at the number of chapters. Look at the number of verses. Look at the number of things. What is there in all these things? They are prayers. Narada Muni is praying. Prahlad Maharaj is praying. All the devotees are praying. So Brahma is praying. So you have all these different prayers. That's what makes the Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam is full of prayers. If we don't know how to pray, we look at Bhagavatam and learn how to pray. Is it okay, Mataji?
Prabhuji, what a brilliant advice. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming into this platform, Prabhu. Very indebted to you. I'm so sorry we took so much of your time. Thank you for all the wonderful, I could not even read everything that is on the chat. Thanks for all the thumbs up. Thanks for offering your obeisances to His Grace Jayananda Gauranga Prabhu. We will end the class here. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya vacha patitanam pavanebhyo